All right. So I'm so excited to kick off the next episode of Tables Turn podcast. And it really feels weird.
Right. But it's good though.
Like, what's happening? Like, I feel like the roles have reversed.
I know, right? Yeah, here we go. Hey, let's.
I'm normally behind the camera watching you do your thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to share this space with one of my closest friends in the entire world, Bryan-Michael Cox.
V, butter.
What up?
What's up, baby? How you doing?
I'm good.
That's good. I'm happy to be here. This is great.
It's good, right?
It's fantastic, right?
It feels good. It's like finally time for me to have conversations like this, like the ones we've been having for years.
Yes, exactly.
Right? But like finally ready to sit at a table and do it in front of the world. Mm-hmm. And so when I thought of the guests that I wanted on this podcast called Tables Turn, it's all about conquering and mastering the pivot in your life.
Oh, yeah. Lord.
So,
we've talked about pivots so much, too, throughout the years. You know, we've both pivoted so many times. Having to continue to, be inspired to keep doing it is crazy. But I love that.
It's crazy. So first, proper flowers and introduction. You have really had a career. When I think about you being born in Houston, bred in Atlanta.
Born in Miami,
okay,
raised
fair.
in Houston.
I knew that. Born in Miami, you have to get it right.
Yeah.
It's for the Miami family.
Represent for the family, yeah.
But Houston being a big part of the foundation.
Yeah.
Atlanta being where we both, stomped the yard at Clark Atlanta University. CAU, where we first met when we were 18 years old.
Youngins.
Babies.
Jesus Christ.
And to now have a catalog with more than 100 million records sold worldwide. 100 million, right? Over a dozen now Grammy Awards as a songwriter, producer, and executive, which we don't talk about enough.
Yeah.
But hits from Mariah Carey to Usher, Jagged Edge, Money Long, Monica, I could keep going.
Yeah.
You have been a breath of fresh air in just maintaining your humility, your spirit, your kindness.
I appreciate that, for real.
And I think that's the secret ingredient. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think that, ultimately, we talk about this all the time. I feel like the relationships I've been able to build over the years have been predicated based 100% on how I've dealt with people. You know what I'm saying? Like, regardless of what the situation has been, or if it worked out on my behalf or didn't work out, you know what I mean? I've just always been able to maintain a certain level of camaraderie with a lot of people in this business, and you make friends throughout the way, along the way, and I always try to do good business, like no matter what the situation is. I always try to do good business. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but I don't really hold grudges or. I like to have a positive outlook on every situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the way I view it. Like, I view life, I don't view life from a pessimistic perspective. I view it from a very optimistic perspective, especially when it comes to my career and my art. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Let's talk about your mom.
Yeah.
And, Mama.
Mama Pam. Yeah.
How much has Mom been an influence in your life? And would you be sitting here today were it not for her?
I would not be sitting here today if it were not for her. Number one, my mother sacrificed pretty much everything to raise me and put me in a proper environment. She didn't want me to be in a it's especially in those days. Think about the late 70s, early 80s. You had some single parenthood. It was like a influx of single moms. You know what I'm saying? And the government was all the things. You know what I mean? Yeah. And my mother was really, really hell-bent on not being a statistic. You know what I mean? She really was like, yo, this is our reality, but we're not going to be, a stat. You know what I mean? We're gonna do our best to excel. And she did everything. My mom sacrificed her personal life. She sacrificed, you know what I mean? All kinds of things to really rear me and teach me the things I needed to learn to be, the man that I am today. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't have to really want for nothing. At the end of the day, like, growing up without a father, you would think that could affect you in a negative way. And at one point it did. When I was in high school, I had a little bit of a situation. but it really didn't. You know, it didn't really. I didn't miss it. You know, you never miss it. You know, I didn't know I didn't need it. You know what I'm saying? So, it. My mother really did her thing. She did. You know, she did.
She still does.
Yeah, to this day. I mean, I talk to her every day.
Exactly.
She's still you know, a source of. Like, where should I go? What should I do? You know, every decision I make, I try to run it by her. And, you know, and she's like, she tells me all the time, baby, I'm retired. I don't want to be managing you no more. You know what I mean? But it's, you know, as a mom, you know, she's probably, I couldn't have asked for a better mother.
I tell you, I look at your relationship with your mom, and it's a model for me, right? Because you have relationships with your parents, but you all have what feels and has always felt to me like a really healthy bond.
Yes.
Like, it's I love you. It's, you know, space, but there always.
We had to learn that though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that was we had a transition for me, you know, going into adulthood. It was a proper transition. You know what I mean? We did buck heads. You know what I mean? In my early 20s, and me trying to figure myself out as a man, and her still trying to be, you know, mom and momager, and you know, you know, trying to micromanage my life. And I'm like, yo, you know, I'm a grown person now. Like, I want to do what I want to do and do. So we did have those moments, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I mean, we had to learn, you know, we had to learn how to, because like we said, to pivot. Like my mom had to pivot to, okay, well, my son is not a child, he's not a teenager anymore. He's not a teenage producer that I got to, you know, watch every move because as a 16-year-old producer, you know, my mom was looking at everybody upside their head. Like, yo, he's not signing that. We're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's just, and when you're young, you don't understand a lot of those things because you're like, well, these opportunities, we're missing opportunities, and you want me to sign this contract. It's like, look at this contract. This contract is trash, you know? So it's like so it is that transition from being a teenage, you know, kind of like prodigy producer type person into becoming an adult, which is why I made the move to Atlanta, which is why, you know what I'm saying? Like, I went to Clark because I was like, I need some separation. That was the first step of me saying I need some separation. But she was still, of course, a major part of managing my life and the whole nine. And when the noontime thing happened, she was a major part of that, like, going over. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's just transitioning into adulthood. We did have those clashes, but now, man, it's like, you know, like we weathered the storm, and it's such a, you know, the past 15 years has been fantastic.
I love to see it. Shout out to Mom.
Yeah.
Okay, so the pivot to Houston.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, because it feels like, outside looking in, Houston had a music scene that the world hadn't yet fully realized, but you all understood the assignment.
Yeah.
So, like, what was happening in Houston in high school, or maybe even before, that you knew was special?
Well, it was always something happening. It was always from a, you know, especially from a hip hop perspective, it was always something brewing. You know, you have, of course, the Prince family who are heavy, you know, they're really ground, you know, zero for, like, with the music business. Jay Prince is, like, you know, ground zero for,
legend.
You know, with the modern music businesses in Houston.
Shout out to Bun.
Yeah, Bun B, you know, the whole family.
Brother.
Yeah, and so anything from a hip hop perspective, you know, you basically had to go through that situation. But Houston's always been rich in music history, from the, you know, Jazz Crusaders to Ronnie Laws to the Laws family, to, you know, we've always had, you know, rich Black music history. You know what I'm saying? I think that, you know, a lot of times people don't really talk about it a lot because it wasn't really broadcast. You know what I'm saying? So for us, we knew that growing up. We knew what our history was, and we, you know, embraced it. And there were a lot of gospel, a lot of big gospel artists from Houston, like a Kim Burrell and
Yolanda
Adams, and, you know, just a lot of that. So we embraced all that. You know what I'm saying? And coming up, you know, you meet people who are, you know, unsung heroes. Like I met a guy named Greg Curtis, who's really like an unsung legend at the crib. You know what I'm saying? He wrote Yolanda Adams' first record. He wrote Just a Prayer Away for Yolanda, like one of her biggest records. And when you have somebody like that mentor you, you know what I mean? You learn all these different things. He was on tour with Tony Tone and was doing music director for Blackstreet and Keith Sweat and all this. So he's bringing back all these different sounds. He's going on tour and bringing back all these different things that when you're a kid, you're just like, oh my God, you know, I'm watching this on TV and this guy's bringing like tapes back of rehearsals and let me get that. Let me figure out how to, you know, and it was people like him, people like Chris Dave, who went to my high school. He graduated when I was a freshman. Before I got there, he graduated before I got there. He, you know, played for Mint Condition, and for us, that was a gateway into like what was happening in the real world. And then H-Town, you know, the group H-Town popped off, and then there was a group called Groove You that popped off, and there was a guy in that group named Tehran who mentored me, and then. You know, then Ideal got signed, right? But Ideal got signed, and they kind of was just trying to figure out what they were going to do. And then Destiny's Child gets signed, and Beyonce and them get signed. So all this stuff happens around the same time. You know what I mean? Like from Groove You to H-Town to Ideal and Destiny's Child.
Are you hearing about it through word of mouth?
No, we all know each other.
Radio? It's just conversation?
We all know each other.
Yeah.
We all, it's like 2 degrees of separation at some point, even if it's through like it's this program called the People's Workshop. That's where I first met Beyonce and Kelly and LaToya and all them. Like we were all kids, you know, in that scene doing talent shows and doing whatever we could to, you know, get seen. So, and then a lot of those kids went to this school, the HSPVA, the school I went to. So we all, or they went to Johnston, which was the middle school version of the HSPVA. So it was like, it was literally 2 degrees of separation. Everybody knew each other through some kind of, you know, through somewhere. My mom knew Ann Tillman, which was, Beyonce and their, you know, their manager with Matthew. So it was like everybody knew each other through something. You know what I'm saying? It was just really, really interesting when I think about it, because we all kind of knew each other. So the conversations were loud. You know, like when you heard about, when we heard about them getting signed to Columbia, we heard about it. It was loud. And then Beyonce and LaToya ended up at my school when I'm a senior and they're freshmen. You know what I mean? And then so at that point, that's how the whole, you know, ecosystem was at that time.
Feels like a movement. And I think about Houston too, just how welcoming, right? Like Yolanda Adams is a good friend, like a sister. Bun, again, brother.
I talked to Bun today.
Exactly. Paul Wall, Goo, like the whole crew. Mike Jones, right?
Mike,
Like friends who became family, but just naturally, right? You didn't have to be from Houston to be considered family. I think you just had to like understand what it was, right? Loyalty, respect, and all that good stuff. And then LaToya Luckett, of course, my best friend.
LaToya, it's my baby.
I was just in Houston a few weeks ago as a bridesmaid in her wedding.
Yes, we all celebrating.
So happy we were there together, B. So the transition to Atlanta when you and I met, 96.
Yeah, it was actually 97 when I met you.
Yep, it was.
It was 97.
So Olympics were right before we got there. Yep. 97, last year Freaknik, technically.
But it was,
it was weird.
It was still weak. It wasn't. It was weak.
But do you remember how we met?
I don't.
I don't either.
I've always known you. I feel like we've always known each other.
Literally.
You know what I'm saying? I think that, I mean, think about Clark, right? Think about how, you know, it seemed fragmented to me at first. But then I think about like all the people that I came across and how, like, you know, how I, you know, me meeting Drum and then me meeting Sense and then me meeting, you know what I mean?
Tyree, Brandon,
Don. You know, those people I'm just like,
you
know, it just was, it seemed so, when I first got there, I was like a, you know, I was a band kid. I got there, a scholarship in the band, scholarship for the jazz band, I had piano scholarships. I was in the music department pretty much all day, every day. In the very beginning, I hardly hit the yard. I went to Clark. I was following my girlfriend to Clark. So at the time, I was very, very tunnel vision when it came to, love always is, you know, always comes back to love, right? In the very beginning, it seemed very fragmented. It seemed like what I was doing in the music department, I didn't get a chance to see or experience, like maybe the first month or two, I didn't really get a chance to experience what was happening on the yard properly. You know what I'm saying? And then slowly but surely, I started doing things. Like I started popping up at places and DJing or popping up at places and playing for other people and things of that nature. And people started kind of inviting me out. I remember I met this guy named Russell. And he invited me. That's how I met Brandon through Russell.
Okay.
And then I kind of think that was like the domino effect. And then I just started interning at noontime. Like literally, I had a short time, then I started interning at noontime. And then that, I think, is what started like the whole process. People were like, started knowing that I was like a producer. It was like, this guy is a producer. And it kind of got around and the Ideal came out and I was still at school. And the song was like a super hit and I was still going to class every day because I was broke. I didn't, the money hadn't come yet.
Right.
You get paid as the song, And I remember that being like a fast track to people really getting to know who I was and the name and things of that nature. So,
I don't think the world knows, because we're still piecing it together, how many people came out of Clark Atlanta University, right? I mean, Jaha Johnson,
Jaha, DJ
Shakir
Mars,
Stewart, Shaka Zulu,
Shaka,
Kenya Barris.
Yeah.
I mean, Drama, who we mentioned before, Mace.
Mace, yeah.
I mean, the list goes on. And then if you really want to build it out to the AUC, you have Valeisha Fan. I mean, we can't, we just keep going.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And so it was a special, like training ground.
That era too.
Yeah.
Whatever was happening in that era. Think about what promotions was in that era. Like I think about
Everything.
like all of the like college promotion was like so important.
That's how it started.
Like you know
with
what I'm
Wu
saying?
Tang.
Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was like a real thing.
It was a thing.
You know what I mean?
It was like a business.
Like that's how I got to Noontime.
Yes.
Because there was college promotion out there, people promoting their companies and record. It felt like the music business was like front and center.
Yes.
The AUC. It felt like it. I don't know.
It was. But you know what else it did for me, at least, and tell me if you felt this way. Like for me growing up in North Carolina, this world felt like another planet. And then to get on campus and meet like-minded people, we had similar drive, similar ambition. And then celebrities on campus every day, it normalized it.
It really did.
Right? So what could have been like a moment of fandom turned into a moment of like, oh no, we can go get this together.
Yeah.
But did you have that experience? Like it took away the like awe and it became more of like, oh, this is real.
Yeah, it definitely made it real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that I had a little bit of that before I got to Clark, working with Greg and like being around some of my favorite musicians. You kind of feel like, okay, well, I've been around some of my favorite musicians already. When I came to Clark, I wasn't really like you'd see everybody.
Yeah.
So it didn't even really feel like, it did normalize it and it made me feel like, okay, this is the world that I'm in. You know what I mean?
And when you say you saw everyone, for anyone who's never been to the AUC, when you say everyone, we're talking about everyone.
Like everybody.
And not like
the biggest of the biggest.
Off, the biggest of the biggest, on the library stairs.
Chilling
on campus, sitting on the wall.
Pulling up in the cars, parking, chilling. This is crazy.
It was a whole thing.
It's a crazy time.
So it took away, again, any type of like distance from these dreams. Yeah. It was like, oh no, this is actually
right there.
real.
It's right here. And it's happening in this city, in this time, in this moment.
Yes.
And I was just like, yo, I can't believe that I'm here in Atlanta. Like I actually made the decision to come here. Because initially I was gonna go to New York, because I got I was talking to Rob, one of my best friends, Robert Glasper. We were talking about, he was going to New York, and we were talking about, me going to the new school and studying vocal and piano there. And I talked to the dean, and I was going to go there. And I then just Atlanta, just like, nah, I'm gonna go to Atlanta.
Yeah.
I just felt like New York might have been a little too, for me at the time, probably too fast, too hustle and bustle for me. It was like Atlanta felt like the right thing to do. And to get there, and it actually was the right thing to do, was like, oh shit, for real.
Okay, so let's switch gears for a second. We talk about this all the time. Even last night at dinner, we talked about the trade-offs.
Trade-offs.
Right? Because I think we all were, starry-eyed with goals to have love and success.
Of course.
Right? And then last night, and if you're comfortable answering it now, asked you a straight up question, like if you could only choose one in life, one, what would it be? Love or success?
I chose success. Granted, I have my moments, you know, in this time when I'm like, oh, you know, love is great, and you know, I'm obviously an advocate for love. I write about love. I'm you know, I think that love is probably one of the most important things that we need and that we need to have. But for me, I look at my life and also look at what I've been able to accomplish, and I am not sure. No, actually, no, I'm sorry. Take it back. I am sure. I am sure that I would not trade what I've been able to do for that right now. Like all my life, I wanted to do this. I don't know if that's a gift or, you know, a curse. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know how to, you know, word it or whatever, or what it means. But I know that for me, I've been very tunnel vision on this path. I mean, since I was a youngin', like a very, very young person. And I never let anything get in the way of distracting me or taking me off of this path. You know what I mean? I think that, no disrespect, because I love love, but I feel like sometimes love has proven to be a distraction for me in the past.
I won't leave you alone here because I said the same thing, right? I said success. And, you know, we're not talking about love of a child or love of your mother or love of God.
That's different.
Right?
Yeah,
That's different.
Yeah.
But we're talking about like romantic love.
Yeah.
And it's funny because whenever I've asked this question of my friends, normally it's like quick love. And when I went deeper for myself, the answer was success. And it kind of breaks your heart.
It does. No, it actually breaks my heart. It does.
It's actually sad because I don't want that to be my answer. But if I had to choose love or success, the answer is success.
Success, man.
And for me, I arrived at that answer because, and you know this, right? In life and career, everything I've given to my career, I've gotten back.
1,000%.
It's like you
yes,
give, it comes back.
I mean, and it feels like you actually have some type of control over navigating that. Like, here's the deal. I can't predict or I can't anticipate what another human being is going to do.
Yes.
You know what I mean? All you could do is just hope. You know, you're dealing with another person and you're vulnerable and you're putting your feelings on the table and you just, you know, and you're putting everything, not just your feelings, your emotions, your career, you're actually making room and making reservations to include this person in your life, and you guys are trying to build a team together. I can't control you waking up one day and saying, you know what, I don't want to do this no more. And I've literally invested my whole life into this. I think that, and granted, I hate sounding like that because
I know,
it sounds crazy because you don't want to sound crazy.
Honest.
Yeah.
It's honest, and I don't think that we have these conversations enough. We fake it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, we love love. We want love, and we do. Right. I mean, the goal in life is to not have to choose.
Exactly.
Right. To have
That's
both.
True. That's the goal.
That's the goal.
But it's possible. And that is very, very possible. I think it's possible.
I hope so.
I think it's possible.
We'll see. But I think it's possible. But if we had to choose, right? I think that's like the crux of it. It's like, all right, but for me too, and as I look at you, I think that you love what you do so much. Yeah. And I do too. That I can't imagine making that trade-off today. Yeah. If we had to, right?
If we had to. It's hard, man. Like when you are a creative person and your brain is going 1,000 miles a minute, you know what I mean, all day. It takes a very special person to understand that and to wrap their mind around that. You know what I mean? Around that concept of like, okay, this person's mind is just always going, and there's nothing that, I mean, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing, like, there's always an idea, there's always, you know what I mean?
If I have to jump up and go to the studio.
Yeah, like there's always a song, there's always something, you know what I mean? And then the feeling of, I don't think people understand the feeling of actually repressing yourself, like saying, okay, you know what? I'm going to choose to do this, even though I know this idea has to get going. And I know that everybody's at the studio, and while I'm here, I gotta wrap my mind around.
Like you're into it. I love it here.
I gotta wrap my mind around this concept of this. You know what I mean? And in my mind, I'm thinking like, man, they're probably over there writing the next hit record, and I'm not over there. Like it's killing me that I'm not over there. And I know if I'm in there, I know it's gonna be a hit, and I am not there. You know what I mean? Like that is a really mind fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like as a creative, it's like, whew. You know, and it's you know, and you know that.
And some people would say, right, like people would challenge in this moment and say, or is it a sacrifice, right, for love? But it's both, right, if we're being honest. And I think that's the hard part, right? Because often we get in relationships with people who haven't found their passion.
Yes.
Woo! Like, let's talk about that. So when they see an idea wake you up and they can't relate to that, like, how do you navigate those dynamics?
It's interesting because I was in a situation like that, and I remember just, you know, I tried to adjust, like, how I did things. Like, I was, okay, I'm going to be home at 9 o'clock, and we're going to do the dinner and, you know, do all the things that, you know, quote unquote, people think that relationships you're supposed to do to maintain. And I'd be in bed by 11 o'clock, right? Or 11:30. And then like at 2:30 in the morning, I'm looking at the ceiling like, yo, I got to go do something.
Gotta go.
I got an idea. I got to get it. So then I said, okay, cool. I'll compromise. Instead of me getting up and leaving the house and going to the studio, I'll just put a studio in the house, and when I get these ideas, I'll just go downstairs. And then I found myself spending all this time downstairs at 3 o'clock in the morning. And then, of course,
Which is harder, by the way.
So then she's waking up like, where you at? Are you downstairs? And then it turns into, are you downstairs on the phone with somebody? And it's like, dog, I'm really just down there creating.
Yeah.
Like really, like sometimes you don't know when like my hours are my hours, and when the creativity thing hits, I gotta get to it. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of just like, when I was in that situation, like, I don't know if this is exactly what I need. I want to be with this person. I love this person, but it's what I need for like my thing. You know what I mean? Or do I have to change my thing? Am I going to change like my thing? Like what I do? Am I going to change the way that I do? Like, wow, how do I do that? You know what I'm saying?
And when so much is at stake, right? Because I think, because what we do is creative in a lot of ways and exciting and includes the clubs or the studio.
Or whatever it is,
Or whatever it is, the trips, right? It feels like it's just fun time.
So that's another thing.
But it's actually putting food on the table.
It feels like fun, and people would demean or
minimize
negate
it,
what that is. Like, oh, you at the club. But you do know that this is my event.
Livelihood and your livelihood.
This is my livelihood. This is what we do. Like, this is how I get to the money. This is how we get to the Grammys. Okay, now we're at the Grammy brunch, and at the Grammys, you smiling, did it here, on the red carpet, all that. And it's all beautiful at that point. The result is great.
But the other 364 days of the year required you to do that, to get to that day. Yes. Yeah.
So it's it was one of them things, kind of like, okay, cool, we're in a room, and okay, there's Mary J. Blige, and there's Mariah Carey, and there's Usher, and there's this, that, and the third, and we're in this room. How do you think we get in this room? How do you think that you are in this room with me right now?
Yes.
How do you think we get here? We get here because I got to do what I have to do to maintain those relationships and show up and show out when it's time to. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and this money don't make itself, right? We have to go get this money.
Every single day.
Every dollar.
Every day.
Okay? We have
no
to go,
days off.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to get up and create ways to make a living. I don't think people really understand what kind of pressure that is in real life. You know what I'm saying? It's cool. when you got the money, when you look like, oh, well, they got the money, you know what it takes to maintain this?
Mm-hmm.
Man, listen. It's a very, 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 it's a daily grind, daily. And we have to create our work. We don't work,
Yeah.
gotta create it.
Okay, so let's shift a bit to Vegas. So I remember you telling me, hey, we're doing this residency thing in Vegas, Usher, it's gonna be great. And then something happened. And I remember a few things happened for me to realize, like, this is different. The first was me watching Usher go into the crowd and just, serenade or give energy to not just people that he knew, but people that he didn't know.
Yeah.
And that felt like, oh, wow, this is special. And then the calls start pouring in. Hey, can you call Brian to see if he could get me tickets to the show in Vegas? And I was like, people know that.
Yeah.
But this was different. Like, the energy was like 10 times what it had been before. And then finally I went to a show with you.
Yep.
And then at that point, a few shows. I took my mom to a show. I took my best friend to a show. I kept coming back, and it just kept getting better.
Better. The show was getting better, yeah.
And, respectfully, it's rare that I'll see the same show twice.
Yeah.
4 times in, it blew my mind every single time.
Yeah.
So talk to us about, one, Vegas.
Yeah.
And what you think was so magical about it that made it stand out from anything else that many of us had ever experienced. I've never experienced anything like that feeling before in a music setting.
I think that what made it special was that, he was able to park and really build that house out, like build his idea completely out. Sometimes when you are you're doing a tour, you're on the go. So each city is a different thing, and you're just trying to like build on whatever the last city didn't do. Or, you're just always in
flux.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I think that he being in Vegas was like, this is my house. You know what I'm saying? This is my house. Y'all coming here to see me. I'm comfortable. It's like being at home. It's like he built a house for himself and his family.
So good.
And it was home for him. It was like, this is my house. You know what I mean?
That's actually true, because I remember the kids running around. His mom was there.
Yeah.
Just, it really
super
felt
family
like,
like this super like, this is my house.
Yes.
My kids are here, my wife is here, my mom is here.
Yes.
This is my house.
Absolutely.
And he just felt, it looked like he was just comfortable.
Yeah.
Like he knew that stage like the back of his hand.
So
it was
true.
it wasn't like the stage was getting broken. You do tours like, 3 days, 4 days, break the stage down, build the stage back up. Hopefully it's the same as it was before. You know what I mean? Like your hope is it's the same. There might be a little, changes in each city. When you at home, you at home. That stage stayed there. You know what I'm saying?
That's true, actually, because it made us in the crowd feel like we were at home.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I just remember, like, the first show in the dress, like, by the last show, I'm in sneakers.
Yeah,
like,
right?
I'm back home. Right? So, because it felt that good.
Yeah.
Right? You didn't feel like you had to impress anyone.
Yeah. And I feel like he was built for that. Like he said it 20 years ago. They were like, somebody asked him, or somebody told him, he was in an interview, and they were like, whatever you do, this is like Usher even before Confessions, so he was popular as hell. But it was before Confessions. They did a interview with him, and it was like, just tell me, hope you'll never go to Vegas. And he was like, what do you mean by that? I actually want to go to Vegas. And when I go to Vegas, trust me, it's going to be something you've never seen before. And he said that 20-something years ago.
Wow.
So I'm saying for somebody, in his mind, he already had his mind set to Vegas. So when he got there, he was like, man, we doing what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And he did the thing. You know what I'm saying? He did the thing. You know what I mean? And then it set him up for all the things that's happening right now. It set him up for his iconic, legendary status that he's in now. Now he's walking in being an icon. He's actually walking in it now. And Vegas set him up for that. You know what I mean? And he's, living it. He did Super Bowl. He dropped an album. We dropped another album. He's doing the tour is doing well. He sold out all shows. You know what I mean? And the show was great. Yeah. It's different than Vegas, and it's really, really, really good. So it's like he's operating on all cylinders right now. It's really, really, really amazing to see.
I was super proud of him and all of you guys. I think about Jonte and JD and just the whole crew. It's inspiring to see it happen because it's been a long time coming. Yeah. It's just been a 20-plus year of just
it's 30 years
iconic
film.
30
years. 30 years film. This year's 30 years.
30 years, right, of iconic, work. And so it's just exciting to see it all. So let's talk about being in this space, right? So a part of your life is in the club. A part of your life is in the studio. A part of your life is being a dad, right? Yeah. We know that, school drop-off, school pickup, major part, the most important part.
No matter what's happening, no matter how tired you are, no matter what, you got to tap in, right?
Tap in. So how do you know who's who?
Oh man, it's
pause for a second, right? Like, how do you know who's who? Because we have almost 30-year friendship. Yeah. That's unshakable. Yeah. There's nothing anyone can say about you to me.
Same.
Right?
Vice versa, yeah.
But in this new space that we're both in, I do wonder sometimes, how do you discern the people in your life?
Well, I mean, I've had a revolving door of people throughout the years, so I've learned a lot. You know what I mean? You learn to see, certain behavior. You're like, I also know what it's like to be like cold as ice and not have nobody in your line. You know what I mean? And then to strike fire and be hot again and everybody on your line. I don't take it personally anymore. You know what I mean? When I was younger, I would always be like, well, why are you here for me, this, that, and the third? I don't take it personal. The people who are in my life, who have been in my life and who were there when I needed $5 to go get a burger. You know what I'm saying? Those people are tried and true. They're not leaving my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, those people I depend on, people I lean on, like you and my man Robert Glasper and my boy Sean Stovall, and certain people. They're just not. They're mainstays in my life. You know what I mean? And Jonte and Keith and Jermaine, like these. These are people who are mainstays in my life. Everything else, I just kind of take with a grain of salt at this point. Keep it a buck. I just kind of look at it like, okay, right now in this moment, I know it's conditional. Yeah. I know that us having a number one record or having a string of number one records in 2020, from 2022 to 2024 is the reason why y'all in my face. It's okay. Let's
fine. Yeah.
Let's do business. I know the reason why you guys are in my face. Y'all want to come to the party on Wednesday. Okay, cool. This is how much the table costs. I know you want to be in my face because you want Usher tickets. Okay, well, let me go talk to Usher's team and figure out how much money the tickets cost. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'm in a space where I know that's it. I'm cool with everybody, but I'm not friends with everybody. Does that make any? Yes. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like if I consider you I'm cool with everybody. We cool. Pull up, tap in, we have a good time. I make sure everybody have a good time. I look out for everybody the whole nine. But like my personal space, my personal thoughts, how I feel about what's going on in my life and what's really happening in my life, it's only reserved for a few. You know what I'm saying? And those are the people that I consider friends. And most of those people has been in my life. Like you've been in my life. Sean has been in my life. Robert's been in my life, all my life. Those are the people I lean on. So when I see all this other new shit, you know what I'm saying? Or I see people that were around before, fell off, come that revolving door, and now they like, oh, B. Cox. It's like picking up like you just didn't leave me hanging for 10 years. Yeah. And now all of a sudden we picking back up from 2009 and I'm supposed to just be like trusting you in that space again. No, we could talk and we could be cool and we can, we could do some type of business on my terms, but nah, like family is family. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, Chris Hicks and Jonte Austin is family.
For sure.
And that's not, I'm talking about like when you at the bottom, when you lose everything. Because one thing to be at the top and driving Bentleys and all that, you was there for all that. You know what I mean? You saw what I was going through. And to lose everything, you know what I mean? Just one click to lose everything and have to build it back up and then lose it again and then build it back up again is the most eye-opening thing that you'll ever experience. You know what I'm saying? So that's my discernment. It's like I just don't. Trust is it's a feat to get my trust. Like to get my trust, that's a challenge. Yeah. I'd be cool with you, but to get my trust, to me to be like, you know what I'm saying? I can think about something right now that I'm going through right now that's like, you know, I saw it happen. I knew that was going to happen.
Same.
You know what I'm saying? You know, you never had my trust. We cool, but you never had my trust. I knew you were going to do that.
Yeah, and time will reveal it too.
Always.
Right? So,
always.
And something that I've been reflecting on lately is, you know, when you truly have an assignment, like a true assignment,
yes.
right? It comes with a level, it requires a level of grace where you understand what it is. Last night you were like, you good? I said, I'm actually good. And it took me a while to get there, but to answer genuinely and say, I'm actually in a great space right now because I know what it is, right? It's like acceptance and surrender and understanding now the environment and human nature.
Yeah.
Right? You now have a level of grace and understanding that's like, okay, I don't trust you, but it doesn't mean that there's beef.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like there's no beef. It's fine.
We're cool. I just know what it is.
I know what it is. And I'm okay with that.
And I'm okay with that. Because you're gonna be I have to trust that you're gonna be who you are. Who you truly are.
Ooh, B, say that again.
I have to trust that you're gonna be who you truly are. Like you are who you are. And I gotta trust that. You know, I gotta trust that. Once you reveal to me who you are, I'm trusting that.
And the moment we ignore that, it's on us.
Yeah. We're giving you the benefit of doubt. There's no benefit in doubt, by the way, people.
That's right.
There's no benefit in it. That doubt is there for a reason. You're giving people the benefit of the doubt. There's no benefit in it because they're going to let you down every single time.
I needed that. I needed that. Thank you.
You know what I mean?
That was good. Okay, so as we wind down, for anyone listening or watching who may be in like a pit, right? So there are pit moments, peak moments in our lives. We all have them. But for anyone who may be in a valley right now, like trying to figure out how to turn the tables, right? Trying to figure out how to have their comeback moment, their redemption moment, or whatever it is, what advice? Because we've both been there.
Yeah.
In recent years, by the way.
Yeah.
Like last 5. Right. So sometimes we make it look we make it look real good, but we've both been in a valley in the last few years. Yeah. So could you just share with anyone like what best advice you would give them right now to get them through the moment and get them back?
Well, I think that number one, I was this last valley, I was actually blessed to have friends, like people that, like I said earlier, people I could call and lean on, and like me and you talked a lot during that period. You know, I had people, I had support. You know what I'm saying? And with that support, you know, ideas happen, right? So like me and you talking, and it's like, oh, I'm trying to figure something out. You may throw something out there, and it's like, I'm gonna try that. You know what I mean? Or if I'm talking to Chris, and Chris is like, Brian, you should do this. Like I had a proper, I knew, the last valley, I knew exactly who my friends were. So I knew that I could lean, we could lean on each other. You know, I didn't, you know, sometimes you go to valleys and you don't know who your friends are. And you're like,
in the wilderness.
Yeah, you don't know, you know what I'm saying? The last one, it was like, okay, these are my friends for 20 years. These are my friends. These you know, 7 or 8 people are the people that I know that I could call, I could text, or whatever. We'll have a good, you know, hour conversation, and it'll inspire me or put a bearing back to figure out, to help me figure out what the next thing is. So I would say recognize who your real friends are, who want to help you, and take the help. Yeah. Right? Take the help. As far as like the advice or whatever, take the help, right? That's the first thing. The second thing I'm saying, just never stop working. For me, I never stopped working. Even when I felt like in my lowest, I was like, okay, I'm going to get up and I'm going to write a song today. I'm going to get up and they want to book me for a gig. Okay, I'm going to go take the gig. Like I'm, you know, like just I know that when you're in a valley, Only way to get yourself out of value if you have opportunities. Even if I was DJing gigs for $500 at one point. You know what I mean? But it was just to keep my name out there. You know what I'm saying? So okay, yeah, I'll do that gig for $500. You guys to take travel to keep my name going. If I kill that gig, then somebody's gonna want to hire me for another gig, and that turns into $1,500, and that turns into $5,000. You know, then next thing you know, I worked my way back up to $20,000 a gig. It's just a matter of you got to get back out there and just keep moving. You know what I mean? And even in regards to the music business, you know, we were slow on getting records placed and stuff like that. So I remember I went to executives like, hey, look, we'll produce your records for discount. You know, you'll get a B. Cox and, you know, record or a B. Cox Tremaine record at a fraction of a price you would have gotten it 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Yeah. They go for it, and then you produce a hit record, and then it turns. Then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well now we did that for you at whatever. Now these next few joints, you know, the price goes up. You know what I mean? You just have to be in a space of willing to work and not living in your past and living in like, but I'm Bryan-Michael Cox. It's like, yes, you are. But do you want to work in this climate? You have to build it again. Don't be afraid of building it again. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, meditate, take care of your mental health. Don't let it keep you down. I heard Quincy Jones say something that was really interesting. That's probably the main thing I've lived off of when it comes to valleys. You know, take care of the valleys. The peaks will take care of themselves. Because when you're up, you up. You up. The phone's ringing. You know what I'm saying? You know, when you up, you up. It's no problem getting people on the phone when you're up. You know what I'm saying? When you're down, when you're in the valleys, that's when you have to figure out who you truly are. That's the true test of who your real friends are, and it's true test of your character. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Excuse me. It's the true test of your character. So those are the main things. That's what I did.
Yeah.
I depended on my real friends, and I just kept working. I kept, you know, in the very beginning when I was trying to get back, I just was kind of like, okay, they want me to do this brand, for this brand. It's a brand that's aligned with what I want to do. Like it's a good, like a proper brand. Cool, let's do it. I'm not going to question. I'm not going to overcharge. Let's do it. Let me kill it. Then now we have that relationship with that brand. So when I got to circle back around, you know what I mean? We can now have something that we're building. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The only thing I would add, because you perfectly explained it the way that I think I would have too, is just never too high and never too low. Like fly right in the middle, right? Because when we hit those highs and those peaks, sometimes the best of us can lose ourselves.
Oh, what?
Start talking crazy to people.
Yeah, crazy.
Like,
start really feeling yourself.
Right? Like the ego's on 100, the arrogance is on 100, and no one wants to be around you, but they tolerate you because you're up.
Yeah, because you're up.
Right? So the only thing I would add is just never too high, never too low, right? Because I think the best of us can lose ourselves when we're up.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And we're feeling ourselves. We might be talking crazy to people, dismissing, things and opportunities because we feel like it will never end. But then those lows, bro, we can get stuck there too.
When it ends, how do you deal?
Yeah,
when
the end is not the end.
Yeah.
It's like a comma, not a period.
A comma.
It's a comma.
Exactly.
To be continued unless we end it.
Yeah.
The only person that has the power to end you besides God is you. And I think sometimes there are those moments that I wish some of our fallen brothers and sisters could get back.
Yeah.
Right? When they hit that pit and they felt like it was over and they took matters into their own hands.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Talking about mental health.
Yeah.
And, I won't go down because we'll be in a full-blown therapy crying session.
Yeah,
but we have friends who have not known in that moment what to do and felt powerless, I assume, and, went there. And it breaks my heart to know that sometimes we feel like that's truly the end instead of the comma and the continuation.
That's a great analogy. You know what I'm saying? I think that you know, everybody's been in, you know, we've all been in a space where we felt like the lowest of low, right? But I've never not thought that I could come back.
Yeah, same.
You know what
By
I'm
the
saying?
way.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, no.
Wait, what does that mean about us, though? I haven't either.
I don't know. I've never
You
not.
just said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, I've never not thought that I was like where I can't come back, or create some type of situation where I can take care of myself or take care of my family. You know what I mean? It's never, and I guess it's just when you don't, when the bane of your existence is not your image.
Yeah.
Like I don't really care what people think about me.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Maybe
You really
I used
don't.
to. You know what I mean?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Not really. That hasn't really been you.
I don't really care what you think. Like, okay, this is how I roll. If you don't like the way I roll, okay, cool, fine. You know, you ain't got to be on the ship with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that is the first thing. Like, I don't really care. Like, you know, my failures is what to me it makes me stronger. I learn from them, and that's how we get to the wins. So, you know, I mean, I've been, you know, just imagine having everything and then not having nothing in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been there.
Yeah, same.
And I've never allowed that to dictate, like, my life. Like, and I just didn't care. Like, I didn't care. Like, if somebody saw me one day I was driving a Bentley, the next day I was driving a Prius. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I'll be okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna get back. You know what I mean?
I've sold jewelry.
Yeah.
I've sold everything.
We're gonna get back. And, you know what I mean? I'm gonna get back. It don't matter. That's the way I view it. It's like I'm gonna get back. It's not. Those things don't define who I am.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of times when you're up, a lot of our, you know, friends, people that we know in the past, when you're up, a lot of times you get defined by how you are looked at when you're up. And really it's like, nah. Like, I think it's why I'm the way that I am with everybody. Because it's just kind of like, bro, like, I'm going to be Bryan no matter what. I'm going to be Bryan whether the same guy, whether I'm doing this or doing that, you know?
I will say this, though, because we are both kind of wired like that, that for anyone listening or watching who may feel differently, right, to see this conversation as inspiration, not like you're different or we're different from you, but instead it's more like, no, anyone listening, not just us, but like anyone listening.
You have the power.
You have the power.
You
are not defined by your ups, just like you're not defined by your downs.
Yeah.
Right? You are who you are. You are here for a reason, just like we're here for a reason.
Yeah.
But we have to have the sheer will to succeed in those hard parts.
Yeah, man.
Man.
Listen.
Okay, so close us out.
Okay.
I mean, B, tell us what right now you want next. Like, what does
question.
Bryan need right now? What are you going to get right now? How are you going to change the world in this next chapter?
This next chapter, I'm just, you know, I'm looking at the music business and how it's changed in the transition to something that's really unrecognizable to me. You know what I'm saying? So I've been trying to really grasp the concept of that, right? And then now take what I know, because I feel like music is lacking. I feel like, especially our music, Black music, I think that R&B music is, you know, we have some great things out there, but it's not the forefront. And my objective is to bring, you know, quality and positive reinforcement back to the forefront. I think there's a lot of toxicity, a lot of negative messaging. You know what I mean? I want to change the messaging. You know, I want to be able to shift the messaging back to, not even, back, just shift it to something more positive. You know what I mean? We take the Money Long record, for example. I feel like,
shout out to Money.
Yeah, big shout out to Money Long and Jermaine. I think that what we did was, with that song, was that people have been living in toxic vibes for so long. You catch something that has a ray, just one ray of sunshine, and it's like, oh my God, this song is great. And it's because of the message, the messaging, I think. I think that, for me, the the main objective for my next chapter is to change the messaging in our culture, or shift the messaging to more positive reinforcement. You know what I mean? I think that's the first, like the biggest assignment I have on my hands at this point. You know what I mean? And I'm really trying to just really dig way deep into my, like, you know, charity. Like, you know, I have several scholarships going on with my, you know, my alma mater in Houston. I'm doing a partnership with Clark. Like, for me, I want to give back to the youth. Mm-hmm. It's like trying to find ways to do that. You know what I mean? Because I think about how young we were.
Babies.
Right? And we didn't know what we was doing.
No
clue. You know what I mean? Like, to keep it a buck.
No
we had
idea.
no idea what we was doing. We was just kind of navigating life and navigating whatever the, you know, surrounding areas where we were doing. But we didn't know what we were doing. So for me, I think about young people a lot. I think about the ideas that we have when we're young. You have such great ideas and what you think life is going to be, and then life happens, and it's don't quite add up to exactly what you thought it was going to be. You know what I mean? And I just want to be able to reinforce young people and help them realize their dreams. So I'm trying to figure out what that looks like. So I'm starting to.
You're not trying. You're doing
I am
it.
doing. You're doing.
You're doing it. If anyone can do it, it's you.
Yeah.
That
so
I know.
That's something that I'm super passionate about.
Yeah.
So to me, that's what my next chapter looks like.
All
at this
right.
point.
We will be watching
Yep.
and supporting you.
Of course, yes.
Love you much.
I love you, love you, love you.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime.
I enjoy
Always.
talking to you anytime, so we good.
All right. It's a wrap.